Monday, January 12th. It's 3:30. We are in the Nauset Room. Information to get online via Zoom is at the Town of Orleans website and can be found on our website. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Is there any agenda changes?
None this afternoon.
And do we have any citizens speak?
No hands raised.
Okay, we're going to go right into the chair report. Good afternoon, everyone. I have just going to give you the last month of what I've been up to keep you updated. I've participated in several meetings with Elaine, Gail, Paul, and Glenn to update the expenditure reports for the 2026 financial year. These discussions have been vital for addressing some grant funding losses and unanticipated mandated program, which is also considering the needs of all students. Budget planning for 2027 is underway. Additionally, we have engaged in further meetings focused on the budget for 2027. These conversations are essential as we prepare to allocate resources effectively for the new year. I participated in a small subcommittee to gain further information to update and provide changes to the Nauset website, and that process is continuing. The Nauset preschool program exploration has been underway. I attended a meeting exploring the potential for the preschool program in the future of our elementary schools. This initiative could greatly benefit our community by enhancing early childhood education options for the elementary schools in future years, with more information becoming available in the future. Would the school committee be interested in a retreat on this topic? To learn more about it, gather information? Anyone?
What do you mean by retreat? Like a seminar, like a vacation? Like, what do you mean?
So it could be a vacation, but a retreat is just a little bit more of a less formal, right? I mean, it's just kind of a,
Yeah, the regional, for example, the school committee does one in the middle of the summer. They meet like not typically at a recorded space, still a public open meeting people could come to, but it's less informal. There's not like a super strict agenda, and topics like the chair is talking about right now, you can sort of do deep dives and just sort of tangent, so sort of brainstorming.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beneficial thing. I'd be all for it. But,
I would be in favor of it.
yep.
great. So with all that's going on currently during the budget season, I would think that we could just get through this moment of time and then kind of I could poll the audience on some dates. Does that seem reasonable? Okay. An exciting news that continues from Ian bringing up in our last meeting, the Town of Orleans Early Education Care Program is moving in a slightly different direction, but in a great direction. The Town of Orleans currently has launched, has enhanced the early education and care program by promoting it on the Orleans Town page. So if you go to the Orleans page, right below, there's a highlight with all the information about it. The town currently, starting now into about mid-February, the town is conducting a brief survey to gather input from families about the interest in the early child education program. I encourage all our committee members to share the survey within the community as we help to gauge the interest for this upcoming grant cycle. The grant opportunity will be families with children from birth to age 4 may apply for grants up to $7,000 per child. These grants are intended to offset the cost of early childhood education and care. The deadline for submission is mid-February. In speaking with Alexandra Fitch today, I asked her about a child who may need an extra year of pre-K. She is going to speak with Mark Reel, and parents should answer the survey and indicate this particular situation. So this is definitely a fact-finding survey that they are looking to get information from as many Orleans families. There's no guaranteeing on this funding, but they are going to consider all applications. The survey will provide information for the FY27 budget. This new cycle will begin July 1st, 2026, and end on June 30th, 2027. So this will be in addition to our original program having summer care, so July and August.
Yes, but the difference, if I might add, the difference is that starting next September, whether your child is a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, everyone is just eligible for $7,000 instead of the $5,000 for 3-year-olds and $10,000 for 4-year-olds. So they're spreading the money over more years. So.
Lynn Brunel, Seacrest Drive. When you're double checking with Alex Fitch, and maybe Gail, you might remember this too, there had been some conversation as well as to whether the new program would also cover the summer months, because the original program was only school, basically September through May-ish or thereabouts. So that was an important add, because otherwise families have a problem in the summertime. So maybe a double check, unless you already know the answer, or to clarify.
I do have the answer. So the new program is, hold on, let me just look for the exact. It's July 1, 26 to June of 26. So you,
27.
of 27, excuse me. Sorry, I have to say it again. July 1, 2026 to June
30th.
30th, 2027. So it will have those summer months in there.
So it's a full 12 months.
Well, yeah, it's a full 12-month program.
It covers your child from birth to age 4.
Yes,
There's no more just 3 and 4-year-olds. It's, you have a baby, you can apply for the $7,000 that first year.
correct.
If you're in a state licensed facility.
Right. Yep. So, I was just going to note that too. It's important to note that the care must be provided by a state licensed facility, and the funds will be invoiced directly to the town, as it's been doing. I would recommend as much information that we can get out through our elementary schools, just to get this program out and get the town and Alexandra as much information as she can, so she can build in enough money for the program. I will continue to update the committee on the progress as I hear it. Again, you guys all got my email regarding the additional dates, but I just want to say them one more time to you. The additional meeting of January 28th at 3:30 in the Skakit Room. The priority business will be FY27 draft budget. Did anyone have any conflicts with that? Good. Then we will have our January 29th, Nauset Public Schools will distribute draft budgets for our elementary, middle school, and high schools at the high school. Glenn, are you going to speak more to that today, or?
I will, yes. Yep.
Okay. Stay tuned for more information on that. I had put in that date calendar that it was 6 o'clock, but it is not 6. I wrote the wrong time. So stay 5:30?
5:30 is.
5:30. Sorry about that. A reminder of our joint meeting, February 4th at 6. And then, because of the timeline squishing up, we moved that February 9th meeting to the February 25th meeting that will be at 3:30 in the Skakit Room. Okay. I just want to acknowledge the time, dedication, energy that goes into budget season. Our staff, admin, and all the school committees have been working diligently to move this process forward. We welcome questions, concerns, and are thankful for all participation. Yes.
I have a little add-on.
Sure.
So in the January OES Express, you'll notice that it mentions this Orleans Early Education and Care Program, and there's a link right on the January newsletter, so all OES parents would have received it. So thank you for putting that on right away.
Thank you. Nice job. Okay. Nice job, Gail. Okay. Is it 4,000 degrees in here? I'm just wondering.
It is.
Okay, superintendent report?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. There is a memo to accompany the report that is included in your packet, and I'll just speak briefly to the items. Lots that is taking place, and I think reflected in this update to the committee here in Orleans this afternoon. First off, the superintendent entry planning process continues. You'll recall I certainly have spoken about this in the past. We had a survey out a couple of months ago now with a little over 300 responses across all of our stakeholder groups, staff, and parents and guardians. We're in the process of analyzing that feedback, and I'll be reporting out on that as sort of in a preliminary sense at the joint meeting. That's the plan in early February. But it's more than just survey feedback. As I've also shared with you, part of the effort here is also to provide an opportunity for members of our community to meet in person, to share their perspectives, their feedback with me as your new superintendent. As noted in the memo, we've completed or held now 3 community meetings. They were held on December 4th, December 11th, and December 16th. And now the focus is shifting to our staff, where our assistant superintendent, Vicki Seldan, and I have scheduled meetings at each of our 7 schools. We had the privilege to kick it off at Orleans Elementary last week, where we had approximately a dozen staff who joined us. Some terrific, rich conversations, exactly what I hope that comes from these kind of opportunities, and it was a great one, followed by the middle school. We continue on the road show next week in Eastham, or later this month, and as I mentioned, these meetings with staff are voluntary, but they'll be held at all 7 of our schools. So more to come, but still in the information gathering phase. As you know, I believe very much in this process of being new here to the district, to learning all about what's on people's minds, and then in turn trying to formulate that in terms of priorities as we move forward. Phase 2 of the Nassau Regional High School is now officially opened, and congratulations to all of the members of the high school administrative team, their staff, and related people who are part of the building committee who worked tirelessly to open that final phase, phase 2, without missing a beat. I can share with you that things were moved out of the modular classrooms and furniture and such over the winter break. We had many staff at the high school who came in over that break as well, too, to get their rooms ready, who would find themselves in that new phase 2, and everything went without a hitch. Students and staff were in there this past, not this past, but last Monday, actually, and that building now is fully open. That project, for all intents and purposes, is at the 100% complete mark. Sure, there are punch list items that are being worked through, but it is an amazing facility, and we look forward to showcasing it and welcoming our community in. Which brings me to the reminder of the ribbon cutting ceremony that, as you'll note there, as a friendly reminder, is scheduled for Saturday, March the 14th. We will be working soon enough to get official invitations and such out for that, but that will be open to all members of our community and our 4 towns who might be interested in attending. As mentioned earlier, the budget workshop is coming up. This is, as I understand it, what will be the 2nd year for the budget workshop, and with sounds like much success and a lot of very positive feedback. Obviously, not being able to be here last year, but trying to largely mirror the approach that was taken, with an opportunity for those in attendance to be together for information on the district as a whole and the regional school related budgets, and then plans for breakout sessions for the 4 towns. So invitation, I let the, just as a note for our school committee members, I did let the school town managers, know back in the fall about this date. We've had this on hold for some time, but we'll be sending out probably tomorrow, if not Wednesday, the official invitations to all of the towns and the elected officials for that. January 29th, right now, the start time is 5:30. We're just trying to finalize logistics for that. January 20th upcoming is a professional development day. Lots of work goes into these days, as always. It's a day that is not in session for students, but it is for staff, and there are a tremendous number of workshops that are being planned in line with our continual efforts to try and support growth and development for our staff. And then last under the report is just to bring attention around a survey that we also have, that we partnered, if you will, with an outside group exploring missing middle housing. We were contacted probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago now by local Lower Cape residents who are working hard to explore the feasibility of developing missing middle housing. These are 1, 2, and 3 bedroom homes that are affordable to middle income professionals. A little bit more information on that. We thought that this was a valuable effort to try and support this group's efforts, and so we agreed to send out a survey that's anonymous to our staff to help them provide more information as they look to target this important area of life on Cape Cod, as I've quickly learned, something that is on the minds of many. So that covers my report, and this afternoon I'm happy to take any questions if members of the committee have on that information.
Any questions?
Can I make an addition to that?
Sure.
The high school has not been without some scheduling issues, but this dismantling of the modules was scheduled for this weekend coming up, Martin Luther King weekend, if everybody remembers. So that is 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Just to reiterate what Glenn was saying about the high school and the staff being able to get rid of, to dismantle the modules, so.
Thank you. Good. All right, Elaine.
Okey dokey, thank you. If you'll remember, I did not give a report in December, so some of these seem a little bit older, but I just want to recognize our PTC. They put on a fantastic book fair in November, and then they are so gracious, they host a breakfast for staff in December. So it's a busy time for parents and families at home, and for them to extend a little extra time for school is very, very much appreciated. We also, in November, have a really nice day of grandparents coming in with special friends, and the whole school is just bustling with people, and the classrooms are filled with children and special friends working on projects together. Some families, there's 4 and 5 people that join their students, so you can just imagine how full the classrooms are. It is a really special day for that exchange to happen, and for the opportunity for students to bring other people and their family and their friends into their world of school and exchange ideas and have the adults really see what's going on in classrooms today. Just want to recognize it takes a little effort on everyone's part. I'm sure there's lots of special friends who have not gone to school at 8 o'clock in the morning in a long time. So I also just want to bring your attention to the fact that our 4th and 5th graders go to the Cape Cod Symphony for the Young People's Concert each year. Usually it's actually just 1 grade, but we've been doing 2 to make sure that we've got all of the students having this wonderful opportunity and experience. And, you know, the symphony is an amazing experience that isn't usually part of, you know, the weekly or even yearly event at home. So I think it's extraordinary, and I appreciate giving that opportunity to our kids. And Mr. Hollander Essick usually coordinates that. He also coordinated a wonderful chorus concert with a nice eclectic choice of songs. It was wonderful right before the holiday break. And each year, we become very accustomed to the fact that we have a very generous community, and many, many of our families are supported directly with donations that our school coordinates. And it is, it'll blow your mind, really, that generosity that's here in our community. So a big thank you to Mrs. Wright for coordinating that, and for all the different partnerships that we have in town that really support our families. We are doing some midterm assessments right now. We kind of like this time because There's been so much academic and growth and maturation in our students, so this is a rather exciting midpoint for us to do a little dipstick and see how children are doing. They gain a lot each day. You know, it's kind of growing without knowing. You're in there doing all this work, and you don't realize just how much academic growth is happening until you kind of check in. So it's an exciting time for us as we like this January, February stretch. It's uninterrupted learning, it's focused learning. Children are the grade that they're in right now. You know, they were just entering third, fourth, and fifth grade. Now they're exactly the grade they're supposed to be in, and they're ready for everything. And the transitions are over. They know their teachers. The teachers know them. It's a really nice time of learning for us, despite a little illness. Besides that, we're good to go.
Any questions? That little enrollment, 153,
We creep up, then we creep
a
down.
couple of new little people in
We
there.
do have a few kids in the process right now of registration too, so.
Exciting. Any questions are okay? All right, and we're going to move on to the strategic plan update.
Sure. Thank you. There is a memo that accompanies this as well, too, but this is obviously a big deal. It's an important time period. I know many share this with me, this view around soon to be embarking upon the next strategic plan for the Nassau Public Schools. A lot of information on here, but just to give folks a highlight, that we, as you know, we've come to the end of the district's last 5-year plan, and as I've shared and talked about before, certainly the importance of reconstituting that plan, refreshing that plan, developing our new plan, which this is just a great place for me to be in as your new superintendent and be able to be a part of the building and putting together the building blocks for that next plan. As I previously shared with you, we brought together some school committee representatives, and thank you to Ian for Orleans, who was a part of the group. And with Vicki and I, we met with and explored the possible match with a number of different consultant groups. We just feel like this would be a key to help guide this work forward and allow Vicki and I particularly to be a part of the process and not just have to also oversee the process. And so we're excited about the support that we've had from the school committee members at large, and thank you to this group as well, too. We met with a number of different consultants, and at the end, as shared in the memo, landed on what we felt was the best match for us, and that's TLA, or Teaching and Learning Alliance. We've had a couple of meetings with this group, and we just think that they'll do really a nice job partnering with us and be a great match for our folks here in Nauset. We are in the works of preparing to kick this off. There's already been, I think, at least one invitation that has gone out to our community, and you'll see the second page of the memo, the thinking around what the strategic planning committee would look like, or who would be a part of that. As you'll note there, the thought right now is to have school committee representatives, 6 in total, 1 from each school committee plus 2 regional representatives. Parents or guardians, 7 in total, 1 from each of our schools. Community members at large, 4. And just a note on that, the thought here is we know that there's lots of interest in our school system, and we would like to welcome those that might not have a direct connection or a student themselves in the school system, but would be interested in being part of this building our future. So we want to extend an invitation out to them. Staff, 8 to 10, spanning all of our buildings. We'd like to include 4 students, 2 from the middle school level and 2 from the high school level, and then a collection of school building leaders and district leaders as well. You'll see that the dates, we've already carved this out. I mean, this is an ambitious plan, but one that we feel confident is very possible, with the end goal of having our new strategic plan finalized by the end of June. As a friendly reminder, any plan has to come before the school committee for their approval, but we're on course with the meeting schedule that we have there to get to the end of the school year with what will be that new plan in place. So the meeting dates are outlined there. If you are interested, or members who might be watching, community members at home, we welcome you to consider it. We know that there's lots of activities, lots of committees, lots of civic engagement and involvement happening everywhere. We know people are busy, but to that end, we thought it might be helpful to lay out the meeting schedule and see how that might align with somebody's meeting calendar and they're thinking of getting involved. So I'll pause there if there are any members of the committee who have any questions about this, but as you can see, we're creeping close to Monday, January 27th, so this will kick off very shortly.
Any questions? Okay. All right, moving along to the FY '26 monthly financial report. Does everyone in the audience have a copy of the information? I can't really see that far. Do you? Everybody? Okay, great. So moving forward, Superintendent Brand is here, Paul Donlin is here, and Elaine is here. Together, we will go over the 2026 expenditure reports. Gail and I have generated a list of questions, and we've had some other questions submitted to us that are a bit incorporated into this general questionnaire. Just be patient as we move through the process.
If I may, just to kick this off, just as a general update, and I know we haven't had the chance to formally introduce Paul Donlin here to my right, those in the audience left. Paul, as members of the committee know, but maybe not everyone in the community knows, we, the district, still are at a place where we do not have permanency in the leadership of either the director of finance or the assistant director. As members of the committee know, the two previous folks who served in those roles left the district last year. The district has tried since sometime in the spring to attract permanency into those roles. We did have a director of finance that was brought on in the summer, but unfortunately that did not pan out, and so we find ourselves still in a place where we do not have permanency in either of those two leadership roles. I am thankful every day for the willingness of Bob Dutch, a retired superintendent and director of finance, and Paul Donlin, who's also retired, but neither are really retired because they keep taking on these roles to help districts who, like us, are struggling to find people and to attract and retain individuals in finance departments. And I understand that that is a similar struggle in other entities, public entities as well, too, not just in school districts. So I just think that that's important to point out. They've been great partners, but also partners that have come in and tried to learn a system that they did not build, they did not create, and I know it's, suffice to say, it's been a challenge at times to try and make sense of the complexity of our multiple budgets across the district. We are also, I think it's worthy just to highlight as well, too, in the process, and we'll talk about this more at the budget workshop, behind the scenes transitioning to a new software program. We've talked about this in the past, but that Tyler Technologies, as it's referred to, that's the actual name of the company. That work is continuing with our commitment to launch on July 1st of next school year, July 1st, or 26th, I guess it will be. And once that new system is in place, the confidence around the consistency of budget reporting, financial reporting, will improve multiple-fold. There's every reason to believe that it'll be a fresh and clean start across the board, and it will allow for much improved transparency in financial reporting across the entire school system. So it's coming, we're getting there, but we're not there yet, and so it's to that end, this point of trying to work with the budgetary templates that were in place. So what is included in the packet is a snapshot of fiscal year 26. It comes to you from SoftWrite, correct, Paul? SoftWrite, which is still the program that we are using right now. And Bob and Paul in this case, focusing his attention more on the elementary budgets. Keep in mind that really none of these gentlemen are working on a full-time basis, although they're logging that kind of hours for us at this point in the budget process. So this is intended to give you a snapshot of the fiscal year 26 to date. Lots of moving numbers, lots of budgetary lines, as many of the committee members know. And there's lots of things to consider, as we go through this. But the effort this afternoon is to provide you with an update in terms of some of the numbers here. I do think it's worthwhile, before I turn it over to Bob, to just note a few things that jump out. And Paul will speak a little bit to some of the balances within special education. Special education transportation, special education out-of-district transportation, and special education tuition collaboratives. Those are a little bit further into the report. It's, I think, noteworthy that some of the developments within this budget, and I know Elaine can also speak to this, are because of the fact that there were changes with responsibility for educating students after the fiscal year 26 budget was approved. And so that happens sometimes. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the year, but that has certainly impacted the Orleans budget. Special education transportation, you'll note, has a positive balance of just a little bit over 40,000. And I know there's some questions around why that is so high. And part of that is usership or responsibility for the transportation of students. But part of that also has to do with a year-end balance that Orleans had, which I'll welcome Paul to speak to. So do you want to walk folks through?
Sure, I mean, first of all, like Glenn said, I'm more than happy to be here. Okay. I am. So what we have is the payroll expenditures for the 12-month employees all the way through December, so they're the 13th paycheck that they got. We get paid every 2 weeks, 26 paychecks a year. And for the teachers, it's probably in the neighborhood, it's 9. So they got 9 checks through December 31st. The expenses are probably right up to the minute that I ran this report, whatever that warrant that we have run, and we run warrants for accounts payable. From our standpoint, from the Nauset Regional School standpoint, not the town of Orleans standpoint, we send our warrants to the town of Orleans, and Orleans is the one that cuts the checks for the expenses. They also cut the checks for payroll expenses too. So, as you see here in the expenditure report, this is through, I think the date was the 9th.
Yes.
Happened to be my daughter's birthday, but that's beside. And I think the other question, and I had subcommittee meetings with Sassy and Gail, and along with Elaine, this is not finalized for it's finalized for the expenditure reports, but it's not finalized in the system for the offset of $61,000 for prepayment of pre-K. I committed to the committee members that were there that I would have this done by the 21st, and I'm working on that now as we speak to make sure that this report is exactly what the town meeting said it was going to be, $3.8 million or whatever that number is. We have the exact number, and we're going to be able to do that. Like Glenn said, and Elaine knows, that we had some students move in before, when the budget was already set up in April town meeting, and so we had move-ins, and now we have an what they call an out-of-district placement, and they're at the Cape Cod Collaborative, and we have to transport that student to Centerville. I think it is over there in Centerville, yeah, up there to the Cape Cod Collaborative. So that was unexpected. The question was, is this eligible for reimbursement in what they call the Special Education Extraordinary Relief Fund that the state set up? And the answer is yes, and the answer is yes, maybe. We're hoping it is. We'll find out in March. We have to submit in March, and then they get all 351 cities and towns and all school systems and put all the extraordinary relief type students that showed up in different districts that moved in. Collaboratives, you can move in at any time. Out-of-district placements at private tuitions, there is an April 1st deadline. Anyways, yes, it might be eligible for extraordinary relief. We'll know more about that in probably end of April, beginning of May. And you also asked a question about, is this available to go to the town of Orleans for the Special Education Stabilization Fund? And the answer is yes to that one especially. That's what you set up, a Special Education Stabilization Fund, which is 2% of your total budget. That's what you have in your Special Education Fund. That is town meeting puts it in, but the only people, this is not like most stabilization that maybe some of the townsfolk have. When you put in a regular stabilization fund for the town, that takes a vote of 2/3 majority for a town meeting to take out. If they want to use it for a project, if they want to use it for the high school, if they wanted to use it to put a new roof on Orleans, if, within that budget, if they have enough money in there. A special education stabilization fund, the town meeting has to put it in, but the only people that can take it out is kind of like the snow and ice removal. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the snow and ice. It takes a vote of the school committee, in our case, it's the school committee and the town selectmen only to take out of that fund. For snow and ice removal, it's the selectmen and the finance committee. They're the ones that can do that. So there's always a check and a balance, and so it's the selectmen and the school committee to be able to take that out. Is there any?
Yeah, I have a question. So it's not only tuition, the stabilization fund can include
The
transportation as well?
Yes, and
Okay.
it looks to me, with this budget, we're looking at probably close to $129,000 of unexpected costs that surfaced after town meeting vote. So that's what we're wrestling with right now. And so there was probably, and I can go down, all these line items, there's 100 line items here that you have in this report. And I'll take any questions anybody has about it.
So why don't we start, if you don't mind, with the questions that we sent along.
Okay?
And there's $17, $18, $19. So there's a good chunk of them. So if we could start down that line, see what answers we can find.
So you want me the one that I had, 3002 was the first one?
3006.
Yeah, so I can speak to some of these,
Okay.
understanding that these are coming from multiple different people.
Yes.
Whether it be in human resources, some are fiscals, budget, some are special education. They span a number of different departments, so but I can add some context to many, not all, but many of these. 3006, there's a question around salaries, administrative assistants. This is contractual because of additional summer days. This, as I understand it from HR, includes longevity, additional summer days, and other related student counseling meetings. So that's.
Can you say that again, Glenn?
3006.
Longevity?
Longevity, additional summer days, and additional meetings, council meetings. 3008, there was a question around, I don't have an answer for that regarding the copier. I have to follow up with you on that.
Well, but Elaine might be able to answer that.
Can you?
Yes.
This is a group effort.
Yes.
We're a team.
We have a contract for copiers that are, it's split in our line items. However, the contract just got paid all together for all of them. So you will see that, it's in another line item, sorry, I can't find it.
3028.
Yeah, 3028. The increase there reflects that all the copiers were paid in from 3028, and there's going to be a full balance in the other one in 3008. So basically, I don't know if that's clear.
Can you say it again?
There are
Speak into the
copiers,
mic,
I'm
too.
sorry, there are copiers that are split in our budget, but we have a new contract this year. And so all of the copiers were paid in 3028. So you see 3008 has a full balance there, but it'll be offset by being paid in the other account.
So $3,900 will be moved.
Hopefully it'll be moved, but it'll shake out at the end of the year.
Yep.
So there'd just be a deficit of $714 there instead of the
Right.
$4,614?
Right.
Okay. So that's just lumped together with instructional equipment
Right,
as opposed
exactly.
to
Being split.
service office equipment? Okay.
Okay.
Moving along.
Sure. And Elaine, by all means, jump in if I'm capturing something, maybe not quite tracking with what you have. 3014, question around salaries for teachers, and the positive balance in that. As I understand it, one retirement and one resignation after the budget was approved. 3064, question around whether or not there's a new program, special education salaries teachers. And was this impacted by the loss of IDEA money? And does it require a shifting of staff? Don't have an answer to that at this point in time, but I think, Elaine, maybe you know this, that I believe it was a replacement teacher that ended up being hired at a higher scale and step, but I'm not sure.
No, we did lose the IDA
Yeah.
money. That affected another line
Some of
item
it,
for
yeah.
paraprofessional and a special education teacher. That amount, 29,561 from IDEA was lost.
I'm having a hard time hearing. Can you speak up a little bit more, please?
The amount there, 29,561, was from the IDA grant that was supporting one of our special education positions. So that's where you see that. Do you also want me to, it's a little bit of a shift too, but it's we have an open position still that hasn't been hired for special education.
But there was
But it's not
is
in
there a
that line
staff
item.
that's shifted in? First of all, is there a new program in the school?
We do have a sub-separate program. We've used current staff to support it by shifting people around a little bit.
So there was a shifting of staff to fill that sub-separate program, and there was a loss of the IDEA money in the amount of $29,561.
Yes.
Did this,
However, the position to support the sub-separate program has not been filled technically.
okay,
And that position is reflected in the overage in 3014?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
How are we doing? Okay,
okay.
moving on to 3067.
This is contracted services, medical therapeutic. What I do know is that there's a consultant hired as BCBA supervisor, I think here. I'm not exactly sure why there's a positive balance in that area right now. Elaine, I don't know if you have any insight on that.
That one would have to look into.
Yep.
Okay.
Not exactly sure.
3018, there was a negative balance there. There was a substitute for long-term leave, but the staff members returned, but that was the reason for that negative balance, as I understand it, in that line. 3069, question around, these are substitutes. And this here, as I understand it, there was a sub-separate, and maybe this is, was this one you were referring to?
This is the
Sub-separate.
position that hasn't been hired for
So you have a long-term sub in that
for-
position,
yeah.
okay. For the position that hasn't been hired,
Oh, okay.
so that,
A sub for ABA not hired. Okay,
so you can still use the monies out of 3014 to cover that loss,
That-
or, yeah,
Yes.
okay. Not loss.
can I just question one thing then, on page 2, let's see, that is 3069. Is that encumbered for the remainder of the year, or, no? How long is it encumbered for?
For the 13th or the 9th paycheck.
Okay, so this
They
could
do-
go up.
We do not encumber for substitutes.
Okay, so this could in fact go up even higher.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So there'll have to be a transfer between line items somewhere along the line. We haven't got that far yet, Gail.
Okay. I think we're ready, Glenn.
3104 is also a loss of the Title I grant of $29,554.
Wait a minute.
Hold on one sec.
Oh, I skipped
3070.
the ed assistance, sorry.
070 is what we're up to, I think.
3070, and just for everyone that's on page 2, we've moved to page 2. 3070,
And that, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, that we also lost money in the IDEA grant for supportive paraprofessional.
We had one para, apparently, that had been previously funded through the grant funding, and that impacted that,
Partially funded.
partially funded.
But the para is still there full-time, correct?
Correct.
All right, but what else, and then what else would have contributed to the remaining negative balance? Because that only covers 11,845. Anyone? Nobody knows.
all right, stay tuned.
Okay,
3104, page 2. Salary librarian.
Yep, 29,554. I know we did not receive in Title I funding.
Right.
As the next one, the mentors, we also lost funding for our mentors that we had expected to cover that line item.
3026,
can I just ask one
Yep.
question? Can we find out what grant that was that it should have come out of?
I believe it was Title
Title I.
Title
I.
I?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Typically, Title IV is for the mentors.
Well, this was the mentors. Is it
Oh.
Title IV or Title I?
No, Grand Source is Title II, sorry.
Oh, okay.
For the mentors?
Yep, 3015 was Title II.
Okay, thank you.
The textbooks, in looking into that a little bit further, over the past few years, our math has been covered by, I'm not sure which grant, Keith had kind of covered that. And this year, after the budget was completed, we had about almost $10,000 in math iReady expenses, curriculum associates, which was not budgeted for, which is increased our textbooks and workbooks.
So it wasn't ELA, it was
It
math?
was not ELA, no.
Okay, so,
Is this line item 3026?
3026.
And when you say iReady, is that a software program or a textbook?
Both. It's it's all our workbooks, our textbooks, and a digital component,
For math.
math.
so was this formerly part of grant funding?
It was, I believe it was a state grant that we got for increasing, supporting math. It was, but I think it ran for a few years, and just this year it was up. It wasn't that we lost it, it was,
So we weren't aware that we weren't going to get the grant?
I don't believe that we were aware at the time of the budget.
Okay. So it didn't have anything to do with any other subject but math, right?
That's what increased it. I mean, we had budgeted for what we expected in the other subjects.
Okay.
So, it's not just math, it's math, ELA, and other subjects, but math
Combined.
is what bumped it up because we had now, we're
Had to
out of the
absorb that
cycle
cost.
that we had from Mr. Gottlieb.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. We're on page 3. We're gonna go to 3074.
This does not have to do with the new ELA program. I think that was a question that you had. It is just based on student need for programs and individual students.
So just student need.
3028.
I think we covered that on the,
Oh, yep, that went with the copiers. Is everyone clear on that? Still on page 3, 3031. Contracted services classroom devices.
I did not have a chance to look into that one.
that, these were all deemed necessary by our tech director and approved by his department.
Okay.
So I reached out to Taylor, and I'd still like an answer on this, because this doubled, and I really have no idea what it is. It's like a $15,000. So if we can get an answer on that, I would appreciate it.
It's not devices.
We will.
It wasn't devices.
Moving on, we are on to page 4, and we are at 3037.
So the understanding that this was a higher scale and step for that difference.
The new hire, yes.
Higher.
Okay.
3040, the nurse, that's a portion of there was a leave there, correct?
The partial unpaid. But again, I don't know how they'll shake out by the end of the year.
So the person went on leave, and was there insufficient leave time? So this is unpaid leave?
Partially.
This is the only way that I could figure it out?
Yes.
Okay. So partially unpaid and partially paid? Okay. All right.
Moving on to 3085, our special ed transportation.
I mean, we have the new student that we didn't have, and this was also one
No,
of the ones
that's not the same one. It's not the out-of-district. This is just special ed.
3085, special ed transportation.
Balance 4,006.
No, 40,000.
I mean, excuse me, 40,656.22.
Um,
3085 is the last line on page 4.
I'm assuming since that a child got placed out of district, we might have been transporting.
Is that the one that's negative now? This is the one that we,
Positive.
No.
in our meeting that we found the transportation that was left over from fiscal year '25. So we took the $96,000 that was in there for this transportation, we lowered it by $42,000 or plus $43,000, I think, that we had left over in a transportation line item from fiscal year '25 that we had encumbered. So,
So, go ahead.
So I want you to, for all the people in the room, to talk about this line particularly and the big picture of where this money came from.
okay. You are allowed to do special education transportation in a specialized, special education placement, whether it be at a collaborative or at a private institution such as, what's the Perkins Institute for the Blind. those are the three things that you're allowed to prepay for. Pre-K is not one of the things that you're allowed to prepay for. You do have a component of special education in the pre-K classroom, but you also have general ed students in that classroom. You have your peers that we want in a classroom to be able to augment and help along with our special needs kids and children that are in that classroom. So when you mix the two, you're not allowed to prepay for pre-K. And you're not allowed to pre-K transportation also, you're not allowed to do that for either.
Is that based solely upon the regional numbers and the assessment, or just on
No.
Orleans' contribution? Because I don't know if we had any peers.
That's DESI's, that's a,
Sorry, I meant that number, like you're saying, between peers that we're not allowed to include in that and prepay for, and the people that are, and the students that are in there for the special needs being met. Is that based on the program's needs in the town of Orleans assessment writ large, or is it based upon just the students that Orleans is sending to the program?
I think what he's saying is that when we built in a prepay of $61,680, which we have done
Yep.
for numerous years, when new people came in, there was a question as to whether that, we should have been doing that. Yeah, and so they checked with DESI, and DESI said, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, they said that we couldn't prepay that, but that we could prepay an out-of-district placement transportation, for example, special education transportation if it was not preschool,
If it was not preschool,
if it was not preschool,
so outside of the preschool.
right?
All right, that answers my question then. Thank
So
you.
so the question that I would have then, Paul, is if we're looking at, we're on page 4, if we're looking at special education transportation of $96,974, and you have applied what we thought was going to be 61,000 was 43,000, is that technically an appropriate application? Because is that special ed transportation inclusive of preschool?
doesn't have to be.
No.
So this, I need to make some adjusting entries in this line item for the $43,000 that we had from fiscal year '25. I need to lower the 96,974 by that number.
So in this report, it is showing at a balance of $40,656.
It will not show that at the end.
Okay, because we need to eventually match the approved budget.
Right.
Okay,
That's what I said at the
Okay.
very beginning. And you gave me till the 21st to do that, and I
Okay,
will
well,
do that.
okay.
We'll make sure, and you also were taking a look at maybe we were going to lower our budget for pre-K by the difference between that leftover fiscal year '25 line item that we had for special education transportation, and that was only like 43,000.
Sounds 60.
And then the other 20, we're gonna take it out of pre-K, is what you asked me to do as the subcommittee.
we can take it out of pre-K? I thought we couldn't take it out of oh, we can take it out of pre-K because
Yes.
we're not
Just-
using the FY '25
No, right,
offset, but
right.
we're going to reduce that
We're
so
gonna
that it
reduce-
reduces our budget to what we had
Right.
adopted.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay, okay, I get it now. I'm sorry, I just have to follow along. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
All right, how does
Any
everyone feel?
questions? Any other questions on that?
Does anyone else want the oxygen bags to drop down?
Well, so going forward, when we do want to make a prepayment, do we need a more, we're not going to be prepaying, obviously, our preschool.
We
prepayment,
cannot prepay our preschool.
But we can
Pre-
obviously play it to these other
Yes,
pieces that,
yes.
okay.
Yes.
So again, that would be special ed transportation,
Okay.
out-of-district placement,
Right?
or out-of-district
Private.
transportation.
Yep, transportation.
Okay. And if we have no out-of-district tuition or transportation, the only thing we can look at is special ed transportation.
Yes.
Okay. Just, I'm clear now, thank you.
Okay. Moving along on to page 5. Well, this is the same. This is part of that. 3075.
Yep.
3098 is all.
The question's different.
There,
Is it reimbursable through the stabilization?
yeah, well, 3098, SE, Special Education Tuition Collaborative, asking if this is reimbursable through the Orleans Special Ed Stabilization Program, which we do now.
Yes.
Yeah. And the transportation would be reimbursable, I mean, assuming that the select
It is.
board approves it and the school committee approves it.
There's approximately $129,000 for that
Yeah,
placement.
and I think we should hold on this until we have a real solid understanding and sense of what our FY '26 is going to be, and then we can talk about doing that kind of vote to go before the select board.
And also whatever monies we might get back
From
in
the,
March and April.
Right.
From the state.
Right.
So we might not need the full 129 out of that fund.
Correct.
Because we're going to be reimbursed
The following year.
the following year, but
You're
we'd be able to
gonna
carry that.
reimbursed twice. Special, extraordinary relief you have to use by June 30th. If you get any money from extraordinary relief, you have to use it this year, this fiscal year. Next fiscal year is when you get 2 bites of the apple at circuit breaker. One extraordinary relief, you gotta use it this year, and then circuit breaker comes back around in fiscal year '27.
Okay.
and can you just explain a little bit more about circuit breaker and what percentages we would be eligible?
I was going to say it. I felt so great that I knew all this. I mean, I really tried very hard to get these numbers down. Go on.
sorry.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Paul.
Basically, what happens with an out-of-district placement or a collaborative placement, the first 54, and I'm using a round number, $54,000 is on the school district of sending. And then from there on out, so if we have a $100,000 placement, $46,000 is eligible for circuit breaker. Of that $46,000 minus the 54, we own the 54. It's $46,000 times typically 75% of $46,000 is what the town of Orleans will receive back in circuit breaker in fiscal year '27. And that is all taken care of by the special education office up at Nauset Regional. And Matt Kravitz will put all that stuff together and send it in to DESI, and they'll make the determination on circuit breaker fairly quickly. So,
Also, there's the transportation that we get.
I forgot to say the transportation, sorry.
Let me tell you something, everybody.
Yes,
I have really, really been engulfed in this.
yes. Go ahead.
But just to Ann's question, or point rather, come the spring, it'll be vital for us to lay this out for you so that you can see these things combined, the extraordinary relief, what the circuit breaker projection would look like, and we'll be able to easily lay this out for you so you can make some informed decisions, and also have that, tracking with what the projected end of the year budget will look like for fiscal year '26. So that'll be important to do to help inform your
And
decision.
those monies coming back into the budget for '27?
Yes.
If they're available, would impact?
Yeah.
What, and I'm
We have
assuming
it
those are earmarked for
only,
that specific, that circuit breaker funding's earmarked for that specific need,
Special education.
transportation. and-
we made a stab at it for fiscal year '27. We're thinking in the neighborhood of $18,000 returned back,
Okay.
is what we're thinking. Because we lowered the transportation number, it's not gonna be 75. We lowered it down to like 50. This year, I think it was in the neighborhood of 65. With all the, everything else that we see coming, we lowered it to 50. Hopefully, we get more. Hopefully, it's closer to 20.
But transportation does get reimbursed as well. So
50%.
it's more than that.
Well, no, you
56.
still gotta have the same threshold, again, 50. And anything over and above that, you're gonna get
Oh,
some
so-
transportation.
So you have to subtract the 54,000 again?
Yep.
Okay, so now looking at a lot of money, folks, all right?
Because we're spending 65.
Excuse
When
me.
you
You
look,
only have to do it once, I'm sorry. You don't have to do it twice.
Okay.
Not the 54 twice, sorry, excuse me.
okay. So when you look at the tuition of 63,377, and you subtract $54,000, you're only looking at $9,377, and 75% of that would be, whatever, I didn't figure that out. But transportation, 65,699, you're saying the 54,000 does not have to be subtracted, so we might be reimbursed for 50% of that amount.
Might,
Right.
right.
Okay, just so everybody kind of understands it.
Then also to throw another number out there that I don't think we talked about there, was you have to be 25% above your expected budget for this, to be eligible for extraordinary relief. I think maybe.
You
I
did,
kinda just-
125%.
Yes, 125%. So you guys didn't budget anything, and so I
Yeah,
would,
so we're,
we're
oh, yeah.
think-
We're winning
might be-
there.
I think you might be winning on this one.
Yeah,
There.
25%.
Possibly.
125%.
So,
all right, so can somebody just summarize which ones we still need to go back to? Because I was having a hard time hearing some people.
yep.
All right,
So I would say that we need to go back to 3067.
okay, the contracted services.
I would say that we would go back to 3070.
Yep,
I would say,
3031,
yep,
okay? And that's it, right?
that's it.
But 3085 is going to somehow be, it's going to look
That's gonna
different,
be-
right?
It's going to look different.
Yeah.
It's gonna look different. That
Okay, so-
whole, we have to get to the bottom line of the 60,000
So
less.
there's 4 line items that we want to revisit in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions on what was presented? Can't see you folks out there. Okay. Lynn, did you have a question?
Yep, she does.
Thank you very much for all of that. And I guess the fundamental, and this isn't scary, so don't worry, Sassy. It's more, so here we are in January, and recognizing that there's been a gaping hole in the finance director space, accounting space at central office for a very long time. Going forward, what would be the best practice? And perhaps Dr. Brand can give us some guidance on this from his experience, and perhaps others at the table also can give us some guidance on this. But how often should this committee be looking at what level of detail on these reports, especially once the comfort and understanding of the line items is established and agreed, that everybody has a better feel? You know how when you're first learning a topic, don't ask me any questions because I'm only really understanding. And then you get to the next level where you feel like you can talk about it with somebody. And then you get to the level where you can actually present it and answer questions in front of 250 people. So we're still at the like horsey ducky level here. But how often truly should the committee look at what numbers and truly take a look? Because then how early in a fiscal year should the committee know and agree out loud in a public meeting that we've got these collaborative impacts on several line items and have that commonly understood that there are some impactors here that were not part of the budget that was approved in May. So those are some of my carryover comments that I had made over the weekend. It's just understanding about it. And if there's big spending, for example, on either textbooks or other program support tools, how soon should the committee know about the impact of those, even if the dollars are not as comparatively large as they are because of the collaborative impact? But how soon should the committee know and have a comfort feeling that other dollars will be able to compensate at the end of the year to transfer money in? So it's really understanding what the best practice might be in the way forward, because in my experience in going to these meetings for the past number of years, we haven't had this meeting this way. So thank you all for your hard work over the last 6 or 8 weeks or so.
Thank you, Lynn. So I think I'm going to start with this because I want to respond to something. So I wouldn't say this is anything to be a normal year to compare it to any other year that I hopefully will never happen again. I think the dedication of a lot of people putting together a puzzle missing pieces, and this is the best we have. And it's taken time and patience and frustration and hard work to get here. I will admittedly say that I have learned more about this in the last 6 weeks after several meetings than I could ever possibly explain to anyone else. I think that Glenn and our team have, without throwing people under the bus, have done their very best to get information out in a clean possible way without just pushing information out. And sometimes that can feel frustrating when you don't have the numbers you want, but it's not intentional. So I think that's what I will speak to. Obviously, everyone knows that I am new at being the chair, and Gail and I have endlessly we were together all day today. And we have pulled apart every number that we could possibly pull apart to try to understand and have a partnership with Elaine's unbelievable work and the central office's work. I mean, you should speak to it because you're the heir to my
So I think that one of the things that we want to do is to look at our policy, our budget policy, and what's the best practice, and have some internal discussions in terms of what's going to meet our needs. And some of the questions that you raised, Lynn, are good questions, but I think today our focus had to be on these numbers. We needed to get to the bottom of these numbers, but I do think that we need to look at the policies that we have in place, and if we have some policies missing, I think we need to develop them so we know how we proceed in a situation like this where we have not had this type of situation because we've had consistent finance people who, had the history. People are walking in without the history of what happened and why things happened the way they did. So it is, in a conversation with the superintendent, Sassy and I felt that, we all felt that this would be these are good questions to look at and ensure that our policy reflects the concerns that have come up, and so that moving forward, we would have something to go by. Glenn, if you'd like to add anything else?
No, I appreciate the questions as well, too. And I think that this, I'll echo what Gail said, and I think that the questions that we should put front and center are what do we feel is reasonable information to be able to provide in a consistent, and dare I use the word, but very transparent way to the communities. I mean, I fully recognize that the school department, I think it's probably the case, I'm sure it is across all of our 4 towns, is the biggest area of expenditure on behalf of the taxpayers. And I also know that when we have sound reporting systems in place, can provide, even if it's at a higher level, but still a level that provides insight in terms of where the fiscal picture looks from one point in time to another. I think that that's a really, the frequency question is a good one, and as I'm navigating this first year, having 1 elementary meeting a month, but at the region there's 2, of which I'm more used to. There's an opportunity just to think about what that reporting cycle looks like. Generally speaking, when I've had 2 meetings a month, it's 1 meeting, not both. But I also think that we should be thoughtful around what level of detail we're reporting out on. And I also think that there's a way to do it that necessarily doesn't get into all of the weeds, but still provides a roll-up for, I call it the budget categories, right? And I'm not sure if the town uses the same terms, perhaps you do, but the categories, salaries, non-salary items, those kind of things that you can still provide that reporting out. And when there's concern, when there's caution that's being flagged or marked, based upon overruns or based upon unforeseen circumstances, appropriate times to really peel the layers back and to provide the community with a sense of what's happening here and why. So I appreciate those questions. It's frustrating to me that we're in this time period, not just because of the stewardship or the leadership in the department, but I wish it weren't that way, but also from the reporting structure. And again, from all that I have learned about the new system that we're heading towards, Tyler Technology, and every one of the central office team who have been a part of this, there will be this transparency and a solid reporting structure that will remain the same from one point in time to another. So, I wish it weren't this way. It's a work in progress. I thank everyone for their patience. We are doing the best we can with folks who are coming in to pinch hit. And I know it's a little bit bumpy at times, but we'll get there. Again, I know what's at stake here for the financial affairs of the biggest entity in all of our towns. So we need to be able to get to a place where people feel comfortable and confident with the reporting that we have on the numbers with some sort of regularity, whatever that might look like.
Sassy? So I think that the level of detail that we have in this report allowed us to look at what the issues might be. And so I know that there's been an effort to put out a more truncated version of it. But for the purposes of this year, I think that it was really helpful because we could go back to last year and say, we knew this was there. And so, so there are pros and cons, and I just wanted to point that out.
And if I may, Saz, I just wanted to say on a brighter side of all of this, this was maybe because we had such a long institutional knowledge of the finances with Jim and Giovanna that was here before. We had a lot of trust and the experience in that role, and not the experience you have, which is new to the district. The efforts that were done over the past few years, over the previous administration of reclassifying things and really sort of ironing all of this out, we're putting all the things in the right places, and now onboarding this new software. While it might be a little bumpy right now, I actually have more faith in that system coming forward, that it's going to help us, make better decisions and budget better and all those things. So I think it's a positive thing going forward, because we can't really have that whole system running on the back of one person. So it should, like you said, it should be a policy-based thing where it's always in place. If, God forbid, somebody got taken out of it, we didn't, as we saw, sort of, the wheels fall off the system here. So going forward, I think we'll have a much more stable system and platform. And this reporting here, I want to thank, Glenn, Sassy, and Gail. Glenn for getting this report out to us in a timely fashion. There was a point in time where we were getting financial reports the day of the meeting. While it's fantastic to have up to the minute information, it's really hard to look at it and digest it at the meeting. So having it early is fantastic, and I think that's a great move forward for all school committees. I hope that's happening across the district for them. So having it a few days early, looking at it, and being able to plan for that is great. So thank you, Glenn, and really thank you, Sassy and Gail, for all your hard work. It's a lot of work. And people, you guys have lives to run beyond this, so thank you very much.
But I think it goes beyond that. I think that, the people who provided the answers, Elaine and Paul's been working very closely with us. It really was a team effort. And true, it's been frustrating for all of us for different reasons. But hopefully, we will learn from this year and put something in place that will be much easier next year, because there won't be that gap of information missing when we go in to build our budget for next year and you start working with next year's budget. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments? Thank you guys very much. Reports and information. Anybody?
I'll go.
Yes, Ginger.
Okay. I'm reporting on hold on, I just lost all my information. The Mental Health Subcommittee, we met on December 22nd, and what we did was some member input. We focused on each person could bring 2 topics to, work on. I mean, obviously, the schools are all already doing a lot of things. We have, oh my God, I just totally lost my train of thought. We have a lot of interventions going on. There's, a lot of adjustment counselors, a bunch of people in the schools. But, so we're trying to figure out what we, as a mental health subcommittee, should be focusing on. And so we came forward with, and we chose 2 things. We chose executive function, which is super important because a lot of these kids, I just want to read a paragraph about what executive function is. We think we all know what it is, but it's good to make sure people know. It's a set of crucial mental skills that help you plan, focus attention, remember instructions, juggle multiple tasks, and control impulses to achieve goals and manage daily life efficiency. These skills are essential for learning, working, and navigating social situations, developing from childhood into early adulthood. As a person who does not have great executive function, I have executive dysfunction. I know what I'm supposed to do, but these kids who are in school now, especially in the higher grades, they've got 8 million things going on. And if they don't know how to juggle and organize those things, they're lost, and they'll be possibly lost for the rest of their lives. They'll always be in panic mode, keeping their head just above water, doing triage for everything. And one of the people in our group, the Mental Health Subcommittee, Joan Zukas, I don't really know the extent of her education in this, but it's a passion of hers, and she has given seminars, and we're talking about possibly helping to bring this to the middle and high schools. The second thing was social isolation, because a lot of kids feel like they're just not part of a group. They don't really have peers necessarily. So we're talking about mentorships, assigning a peer and adult to vulnerable students. And that was that meeting. We discussed a lot of other things, just going back and forth about some of the things that are already happening. And so I think it's a really great group of people, and I think that Matt Kravitz is doing a really good job actually listening to what we're saying and including us in the conversation, because again, there's already so much happening, especially in elementary school. But in middle and high school, when kids start to go through puberty and they feel, isolated and like they can't keep on top of things, and who knows what's going on at home, I think those two things are really super important. My second thing is transportation. We are meeting January 15th, this Thursday. Glenn has actually been coming to our meetings, which is, superintendent, has been coming, and it's been really great. He actually has spoken to the Cape Cod Collaborative about moving forward. Now that we own the buses, we will need to start replacing them at some point, and he spoke to Cape Cod Collaborative about how to go about doing that. When we meet on Thursday, the Transportation Subcommittee, we will devise a plan to make a recommendation for the February 4th, is it February 4th? February 4th Joint School Committee meeting, so that we can vote on a plan. I think that's it.
Thank
Anybody have any
you.
questions?
Thank you, Ginger. Any questions
welcome.
for Ginger? Just to let you guys know, Paul and Glenn had to go to the region meeting, so they had to sneak out. It starts at 5.
Okay.
And then our meeting, someone else comes in here at 5, right?
5:45.
Okay, go ahead.
So maybe Kathy, you want to
That would
just,
be me.
Kathy, oh yeah, your meeting.
Yes, my meeting. I live here now. So that meeting coming up at 5:45 is the fire department meeting, so.
Okay.
I don't have any updates on that yet, because we haven't had a meeting yet. But I also went to the superintendent evaluation committee meeting on the 19th.
Yep.
We are in a mid-cycle year, because he's on a 2-year evaluation, so the formal evaluation will take place in 2027. But he is preparing his goals for this year. Let's see. He's currently refining his goals, and will meet with the subcommittee on the 23rd to present them in draft, and then he will present the goals in full at the joint committee meeting on the 4th.
Great.
That's you. You wouldn't. Yeah. Stop.
So I was asking about PTC because
No, that's
it was supposed to be her, but then I took it back. But I forgot that it was me because I've had nothing going on. So could you report on PTC, Elaine? They're
Other than
outstanding.
what they did, yeah, in the fall, right now, in January, we don't have anything planned. I know that we'll be doing the dance again. There's a number of things that they have scheduled going forward. I think they gave everything to you in the fall.
Yes.
They have planned, but I can report on them next time if you like.
I'll be able to report next.
I'll be back up.
Gail, do you have anybody to report on?
no, I have nothing to say.
No reports.
Ian, do you have a report?
I have no reports.
All right. Magnificent. Future agenda items.
So I think we should just stick with the FY27 budget draft in our next meeting on the 28th,
Yep,
and nothing else.
sounds good. Okay, I'd like to get approval of the minutes from December 15th.
I have one change on the minutes,
Okay.
very minor. The meeting was not held in Skakit room, it was held in the Nauset, and it was held in this room.
Okay. All right, just a reminder about the upcoming meeting dates. Everyone sees those?
Want to vote on the minutes?
Oh, geez, we have to vote. I'm nervous now. Okay, can I take a vote on approval of the minutes?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
I wasn't there.
Okay.
I can still say.
Any discussion?
Favorite minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, upcoming meetings and adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?